Hey, what's up? Michael here. So the Redmi K50 Ultra. This is a ridiculously powerful phone, priced at a ridiculously good price, which leaves me thinking how Xiaomi are making any money out of this phone at all. The K50 Ultra shares a similar platform to the Xiaomi 12T Pro. They have pretty much the same design and share some very similar specs, apart from the K50 Ultra does not have an IP rating and has a 108 megapixel camera instead of a 200 megapixel one on the 12T. I'm sure somebody in the comments will definitely need a 200 megapixel sensor, but the advantage with the K50 Ultra is that it costs nearly half the price and is nowhere near half the phone. So at around 400 euros converted from Chinese RMB, you get top-end specs that are usually reserved for phones at 2 to 3 times the price, mainly of course the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus. That's right, not the normal 8 Gen 1, the Plus version on a phone at this price point, joined by up to 12GB of RAM and the Adreno 730, and combined with a 5000 mAh battery and a 6.67 inch screen, makes this a pretty good all-around gaming phone. I was hitting over 100 FPS playing Call of Duty online and could choose pretty much any graphical configuration I wanted to, and the phone stayed nice and cool throughout thanks to a massive 3725mm liquid cooling area. It was also pretty easy to whack up the settings on Genshin Impact, and even with the intense fighting scenes, I didn't really notice any lag or slowdown during gameplay, and just in general use flying around the phone and opening up normal everyday apps, everything felt fast and fluid in general, and it was a nice and smooth experience. So just for the performance specs alone, I think a lot of people will be interested in this phone, but it doesn't stop there. As I said at the start of this video, I'm not sure how Xiaomi are making any money from this phone, and that's because as well as great performance, it actually has a pretty decent camera system as well. And I'm mostly talking about the main sensor here, which is a 108 megapixel Samsung HMX6 sensor with optical image stabilization. And it really does do a nice job with nice clean images and plenty of pop and color. The photos aren't too over sharpened either, which is somewhat of a compliment these days. The K50 Ultra has a softer touch, which I think looks really nice, but still it retains enough detail to make some really nice images for this price point. And for most people, having one decent main sensor with optical image stabilization will be more than enough. But the K50 Ultra does also come with an 8 megapixel ultra wide. And while obviously it's not as high in quality as the main sensor, it does still give you a nice option and in daylight does a good enough job. For sure, if you're looking for any consistency in color reproduction between the main sensor, the ultra wide and the crop zoom, you're out of luck, but overall it's a decent setup. But what actually impressed me most about the Ultra's capabilities were at night. Now by themselves I would say these are quite nice images. But what I immediately noticed when walking around is that there was no delay when I pressed the shutter button, even when I manually chose night mode. So usually there's a countdown when shooting at night. You'll click the shutter button and the phone will take multiple pictures and stitch them together within a few seconds. Or it uses that time to process the photos so they come out better. And that's fine and I'm used to that by now. But with the K50 Ultra, I noticed that 99% of the shots would be snapped and previewed in real time, with me seeing some pretty good results in some tough lighting conditions. The only time it did take a few seconds was in this super dark scene with barely any light. Now obviously this phone has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus, so can easily handle 4K 60 FPS, and it does a pretty impressive job. You get object tracking so you can stay focused on one subject, and it does a great job here of tracking my favorite household robot. The stabilization has a nice floaty effect, like the phone has been placed on a gimbal, and the color production is also really nice. As you can see, it's sunset and everything looks pretty good. Unfortunately, the image and stabilization does suffer when walking along in 4K. There is definitely a disruption in picture quality for every step I take. Now, before I talk about the other features of the K50 Ultra, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Ergear, that sent me their height adjustable electric standing desk. I've always wanted one of these desks forever basically, but I always assumed they'll be pretty expensive, but this one is less than $200. The desk comes in 3 different colors. I got the lighter version because it fits with my apartment better. There are also different sizes to choose from, so you can tailor your desk to any space. Now, I've got a really bad back and posture issues from sitting down at my old desk, so being able to switch it up and stand to do my work is so much better. I'm probably standing 70% of the time and feel much better because of it. The max height goes to 118 centimeters or around 46 inches, which is more than enough for me. I'm around 183 centimeters and I don't max out the height of this desk at all. The legs and the feet are metal and the top surface is made from wood. There's also a touch control panel to adjust the height with 3 programmable presets, of which I mainly use 2, one for sitting and one for standing. It feels pretty stable to work at full height and can hold a weight of up to 176 pounds or 79 kilograms, and is actually really quiet when you adjust the height. So I'm really happy with this desk and I'll put a link for it down in the description. So back to the K50 Ultra, there are a lot of little things about this phone that continue to make it a good experience. It has a decent haptic system for the price, pretty tactile and precise as long as you don't turn it up too strong. The battery is 5000 milliamps and will easily get you into a second day. The charging is 120 watts and gets to a full charge in under 20 minutes, and the charging brick and USB-C cable comes in the box along with a free transparent case. The optical fingerprint scanner is also really fast, and if you go into the Xiaomi Health app, you can actually measure your heart rate using the fingerprint sensor, although the results, let's say, were a little bit off. The other cool thing about the K50 Ultra is its screen, which is in between Full HD and 1440p. It's also 120 Hz and you can adjust the refresh rate or just set it to auto mode. There are also several video and picture enhancement AI features that can improve the content you're seeing on your screen, but naturally this will take up more battery and might lead to the phone getting a little hotter if you're watching movies on Netflix for a long period of time. So the one thing I don't really like about this phone is the design. It looks pretty boring and dated with the squared off camera bump, pretty thick bezels and boring back panel design. I got this iced blue color that looks okay. We have dual stereo speakers at the top and bottom that sound pretty average, but also get pretty loud. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that there is no IP rating or Gorilla Glass certification on the K50 Ultra. Probably was done to reduce the price, but I'm pretty sure there is some sort of waterproofing on there. The selfie camera is 20 megapixels and takes not bad selfies, although I did have to turn off some pretty heavy beauty filters that were automatically on. So this is what the selfie camera looks like. It's 1080p, can go up to 60 frames a second. It looks pretty good, the colors don't look blown out, everything in the background looks nice and colorful. Still no cinematic video on these lower end phones, hopefully that will filter down soon, but for now I'm pretty happy with this. The K50 Ultra runs MEUI 13 on top of Android 12 and is the same old colorful kind of quirky looking operating system that we're used to. We still have this pretty terrible iOS inspired control center that you can fortunately change to the more classic Android look in the settings. There are plenty of customization options, including these awesome Xiaomi wallpapers, which I wish every phone brand had, as well as plenty of themes which you can preview in lots of detail, from the lock screen even to what the phone dialing menu looks like. Overall, I think the K50 Ultra is a really good deal if you're Chinese or live in China like I do. I couldn't find it on sale on AliExpress, so I'll add a link to the Xiaomi 12T Pro, which is the Western version of this phone, and for a cheaper alternative, click my Honor 70 review to watch that, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.